Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ztf Lifts, first ever YouTube video. Ztf Lifts is me. I'm Zach. Gonna do some kind of Sam Sulek style training here where mic'd up, gonna go in the gym, do my workout, talk you guys through it, give you some tips, some tricks, and maybe some goofs, some gaffes. We'll see. First up, before we get going, just want to kind of explain a little bit of my methodology when it comes to training, what I'm doing, why I'm here, why you should even listen to me in the first place. So I've been training lately, doing kind of like a push-pull legs type of thing. I don't do any program in particular as of late. I know I'm going in for example, today's a push day. I'm going in for a push day. I know I'm going to do some type of chest movement, some type of shoulder movement, some type of lateral delt movement, some type of tricep movement, maybe a couple of them here and there, right? Every day I'll go in and I will do whatever it is I want to do for each of those major muscle groups because that's simply what I enjoy doing the most. I've done rigorous programs before where I'm tracking specific exercises in a specific rep range, with a specific weight and trying to incrementally increase on that, week by week by week, whatever. And that's great. And honestly, probably make slightly better progress that way. But just for the way that I like to train, I want to be able to come in on a chest day, on a push day like today, and I want to just train what I want to train. So for example, today I already know I'm going to do incline bench press. I'm going to do flat bench press because on my way over here, driving here, I was thinking to myself that that's what I want to fucking do. So I'm going to do it. Other than that, I'm currently in a cutting phase. Started at 250. I bulked up fucking crazy, more than I should have. It was honestly a crazy dirty bulk. Been kind of reining that back in. My goal is to get around 195. I think I should be pretty lean by there. I'm currently sitting somewhere around 215, 220. Haven't weighed myself in a couple days, to be honest with you. Some reasons to kind of even listen to me in the first place. I have a degree in exercise science, and I work as a personal trainer. And don't get me wrong, I think some personal trainers' training skills are quite questionable, but I'd like to think I'm one of the good ones. I've never worked at some big box gym because I think personal trainers at a big box gym are a joke. I've always been at a small, private studio doing real training with real people and getting real results. So don't feel like I'm trying to just push my personal training onto you guys because I'm not even trying to offer that. I want you guys to get all this shit for free. I want you to watch me lift. I want you to get my tips and tricks, and I want you to be able to do it without having to spend a fucking dollar because gym memberships and the car to get there and the pre-workouts and the lifting straps and the this and that, it all adds up. If you're a gym bro, you're already spending enough fucking money and you don't need to spend any more. So hopefully free content like this is enough to motivate you, push you in the gym, get you to learn some new things, try some different things out. And that's all I'm really looking for. So you don't got to spend $1 here. All right. So getting ready to go into the gym. Recently started coming to this gym. It's a new one that just opened up in my area. I have a couple of gym memberships, to be honest with you. I like switching it up just for the fun of it. And when this new gym opened up, I got a day pass, came here, kind of tried it out. It's a lot different than what I'm used to because it is a powerlifting gym. Most of the gym is, calibrated plates with really nice Rogue Echo bars, and everybody in here is doing powerlifting big 3 movements. But that's not, you could do any style of training in any style of gym. If the gym you go to is limiting your ability to train, it's probably honestly more of a limit of your ability to program. I think you can go to Planet Fitness and you can turn into fucking Sam Sulek, the Trend Twins, whatever. You can go to a powerlifting gym and do bodybuilding. I generally tend to do more bodybuilding style of training. I've played around with some kind of power building where it's like I start with some big powerlifting movement, squat, bench, deadlift, and then after that kind of treat it as a regular, push, pull, or leg day, depending on which of the big movements I'm doing, which is fun. Moving heavy weight around is fun. But at the end of the day, I would say my style of training overall is bodybuilding. And even though I'm at a powerlifting gym, bodybuilding is a possibility. Just like I said, you can do any style of training anywhere. And if you think otherwise, it's probably a limit of your ability to program rather than the gym's ability to provide equipment. If all you had was a bench and some heavy dumbbells, that's all you need. Anything past there is a bonus, something fun to mix it up, try something different. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to head inside, start getting going here, and hope you guys stick with it. And like I said, this is my first time doing a video like this, branching off of TikTok and doing a real YouTube format video. So leave some comments down below. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't, because I want to be able to push more of this content out here, but I want you guys to actually like it. So let me know what you think. Here we go. All right, boys, we are good to go. first up for today, like I probably mentioned in the car, starting with some barbell incline bench press. I was debating back and forth on if I wanted to start with flat press or incline press, and decided I wanted to bias the upper chest to shoulders a little bit more for today, in an effort to make it so that I don't have to do an overhead press. If you do any type of incline pressing, you don't really need to do a shoulder press too. You know, people online also though will say like, oh, if you do seated shoulder presses, you're gonna have overdeveloped shoulders. I don't really agree with that. If you like doing shoulder presses, you can do it. And honestly, you're not gonna have any muscle group that is truly overdeveloped. So do whatever you want. And big shoulders are a good thing. Makes you look wider, makes you look good. So personally, I don't love doing overhead shoulder pressing. So if I can start with an incline press, bias the front delt and the upper chest a little bit more, I'm gonna do that because then I don't have to do shoulder presses. So hold my bench in here. First thing to set up, if you ever got a incline bench in a rack like this, in a rig like this, the most annoying part is just getting it set up for the proper position, which I haven't done yet. So I'm gonna give that a try by just, laying back here, seeing how in line with the bar I am, and do a little warm-up set here, see if I need to adjust the J-hooks or adjust the position of the bench at all. But honestly, they both feel pretty decent. I think what I'll do is lower the J-hooks just a little bit, because once this bar starts to get heavy, this re-rack is gonna be cutting it a little close, if you can see that. With no weight, I can push the shoulders up, get it in there. But when I got, 185, 225 on there, we need those J-hooks a bit lower. So get those moved, and I'm gonna get going for today. Honestly, today I think I'll keep everything in like a roughly 5 to 8 rep range. It's my favorite because I like moving heavy shit, and I don't like doing that many reps because then it's basically cardio. So move these a little bit here. That should be better. Get my bar back up here. Do a real warm-up set. Take it from there. Give this a try. Make sure it's feeling all right. Like I said, I'll do probably 2 or 3 sets of 5 to 8, depending on how they feel. And in that 5 to 8 range, I'll probably end up, honestly, somewhere around 185, maybe 225 if the first set feels really good, but probably not, to be honest with you. An issue I have on incline presses in particular is, for good form, when you lay down here, you don't want to be nice and flat. It's good to kind of think about pushing your chest up, making that chest nice and proud, and in the process of that, kind of digging the shoulders into the back of the bench. For whatever reason, when I do that, my lats always get to cramp. Specifically, the bottom part of my right lat gets to cramping. So we'll see if that happens today, because it's only 50-50. Start throwing some weight on here. I'm gonna go 135 for my... Those J-hooks are not even. I should probably fix that. Fucking hell, dude. I don't even know how that happened, to be honest with you. We're good. We're good. Problem solved, guys. All right. I'm gonna get 135 on here for my next warm-up. If you're not doing multiple warm-ups, that's probably a bad thing, to be honest. Especially if your weight's getting heavy. Warm-ups are just injury preventative. They're gonna make your first set move better. It's not just a matter of injury prevention, but it's also a matter of waking up all the muscle fibers that are about to fire, and getting the nervous system ready for the heavy weight you're about to move. So if you're doing any exercise, it doesn't matter what it is, just more often than not, you're gonna notice it on your big compound movements like a barbell bench. If your second set feels better than your first, if you get an extra 2 or 3 reps, what that's telling you is that you didn't warm up enough and your body wasn't ready for your working weight on your first set. So do more warm-ups. All right, so my next warm-up here, 135. I don't really track reps when it comes to warm-ups. I'll just do some, get the blood flow going, take it from there. So yeah, on this incline bench here, I'm thinking nice even grip, push my feet in the floor. Like I mentioned earlier, kind of rounding the shoulders a bit, pushing them into the bench, sitting that chest up proud. J-hooks honestly feel a little high still. I'm gonna get those moved down one more. See, I can push that up, but when I get under that bench, roll my shoulders back, stick my chest up. If you notice, that reduces how high my hands are. So here, bar's feeling fine at that height. But when I roll my shoulders back, really get in position, J-hooks are a little too high. Move them down one more. I'm gonna put on another 20 pounds here, go for another warm up. To be honest, 135 felt a little heavier than I wanted it to feel for today, but we'll see. Let's see here, thrown on. Fuck my Lance to 25. Throw on another 10 here. This one moves a little better. Then I'll probably jump up to 185, 195, see how it feels. All right, next warm up here. J-hooks are a little lower. Also a good chance to check in, see if those are feeling better. Yeah, that's a better height, because then when I retract my shoulders, I still got room for that on rack. Okay, with the racks there, that felt a lot better. I'm gonna jump up to a 45 and a 25 each side here. And regardless of how it feels, honestly, I'm gonna call it my first working set for today. Like I said, I generally try and stay 5 to 8, but at the end of the day, all that really matters is the set's fucking hard. So if you get to failure, you're working the muscle group you wanna be working, don't overthink it. If your rep range is 5 to 8 and you do 9 reps, it's not the end of the world. So come in, train hard, you're gonna be good. You know, I used to do more rigorous programming. I'd come in, I say, okay, I'm doing exactly 5 to 8 reps with this exact number of weight, progressively overloading like that each week, which is probably a better way to train, to be honest. But, you know, the most important thing when it comes to being in the gym is making sure that you're liking what you're doing, because that's gonna keep you coming. If you don't like it, you're not gonna do it. So I personally find it more enjoyable when I can just come in, I say, hey, today I got a push day, and as long as I hit the muscles I need to hit, then I'm content with that, and I find that I enjoy that style of training much more. You know, some people, if you don't have enough knowledge yet to know, you know, you don't have this vast library of exercises for each muscle group, probably not a good idea, because, you know, one, you might not even understand what exercises are going to be good for what muscle group, what order to put them in, when to do them, why to do them. So if you're new to the gym, I would recommend having a strict program. Get yourself used to those exercises, and then you can take it from there. But if you've been going for a few years and you know, and I say, okay, you're going to start with chest movement. If you can name 4 or 5 different movements that you could start your workout with, and you're comfortable with the form on those, then you could totally train how I'm training. Otherwise, stick with a basic program for a few months. 8 to 10 weeks, start a new program. 8 to 10 weeks, new program, 8 to 10 weeks. You do that for a year, and all of a sudden you've gone through, 8 to 10 programs, and now you have 8 to 10 different exercises per muscle group that you're comfortable doing. Now you can train like I do. Come in, train intuitively, do the exercises you want to do, as long as you're targeting the muscles you want to target on that day. All right, first working set for today. The goal is 5 to 8. We'll adjust if we need to. Let's knock it out here. One more. All right, that was a good first working set. If I had a spotter, I would throw on some 5s, get a little heavier here. But for being on my own today, trying to keep it safe, I'm gonna stay right there. I had 8, could have done 9, would have been questionable. Not gonna do it without a spotter. First set's down, take a little rest here. 2 to 3 minutes, generally a good place to be. Long enough to let your muscles, recover from such a hard set in a way that you can do it again. When you're training, taking some time between sets, if you give yourself, let's say 45 seconds, 60 seconds, and your set was that hard, you had 1 or 0 in reserve, you're not gonna be able to push the same amount of weight for the same amount of reps on your second set because you're just not recovered enough. Some people have a hard time waiting that long because it's kind of this gym mentality. And once you're here, you just gotta go, 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 work hard, do the thing. Take your rest, take your rest. It makes your second set, your third set more beneficial. You will literally grow more if you rest more. If it's a time crunch for you, I would honestly alter everything else in my workout before I mess with my rest periods. I would superset opposing muscle groups. I would do less sets with more intense reps. I would do anything to adjust the time of my workout before I change my rest periods. They are wildly important. All right. Getting ready for my second set. I used to time my rests. The newer iPhones, you might have a new iPhone that's like this. There's a button above the volume button called the action button. You can kind of program it to do whatever it is you want to do. For probably a year and a half, maybe even 2 years, honestly, I'm bad with time frames. But I had that button programmed. Whenever I clicked that button, it would set a 3-minute timer on my phone. The only place I would use that is right here in the gym. I'd finish my set, and I was trying to train myself to, take adequate rest. An adequate rest is 2 to 3 minutes. And when I work out, I try to do everything in my power to make sure I'm not coming here in a time crunch so I can take my time, feel comfortable, have a good time. If I know, right when I finish at the gym, I have to be done at this time, and then I have to go do this thing at a specific time, it just makes the quality of my lift worse because I can't take the rest I want to take. I can't add an extra movement here or an extra movement there if I feel I want to. I have to be more strict with myself, which is a privilege. Not everybody gets that. Maybe you have 45 minutes on your lunch break at work, and that's all the time you got to lift. And that's perfectly adequate. I'm lucky to be able to have as much time as I do to lift, and take my time with it. So take your rest, but if you're time crunched, just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's not doable. I've done it. You've probably done it. As long as you get your lift in, you're good, dude. All right, just honestly assuming it's been 2 to 3 minutes, I'm feeling recovered, ready for my second set. I'm gonna knock it out here. Probably gonna do 3. I do 2 to 3 sets of everything generally, just based off intensity. So for example, if I got on my first set there and I hit 8, I was like, did a few more. If I got to 10, I was like, I have a couple left in the tank, I'd re-rack and I'd make sure to absolutely do a third set. And if it's light enough, I just call it a warm-up, keep going from there. But if you do all these exercises enough times, you eventually learn, oh, okay, if I'm gonna start on incline bench, a 45 and a 25 each side is a good place to be. You start learning that information about yourself and your guesses become more accurate. So before you build that knowledge, like I was saying earlier, have a strict program that you can follow because you will get better results that way because you know right where to start with your weight, what exercise to do. So programming like that is important. So just because I'm not training on a specific program doesn't mean you should do that as well. All right, second set, here we go. I got a few more. I want 8. I'm scared going for this one out of spotter, but fuck it. That was a great set. 8th rep was a little questionable. Doing that without a spotter was a little iffy, but we made it. We're still here. So take another 2-3 minutes. I'm gonna do one more here. All right. Just a little bit longer here before I get my 3rd and final incline press going for today. You know, I was thinking about my weight on this exercise. There's a lot of people out there, I'm sure even people who've trained less years than me, that are gonna throw up more weight on an incline press like this. You know, if I'm looking back to my weights on these exercises, let's say a year ago today, I bet my incline press weight was the same, but in that year, my form has gotten so much better on these exercises. And you know, if you have to pick between heavier weight and a better form, I would hope that the answer to that question is somewhat obvious to you. And that's what I've really been dialing in over the last year and a half, is the best form that I'm capable of having. Perfectly stable, perfectly balanced, perfectly in control, you know, not moving too quickly. Like on this incline bench, for example, there's people out there, you know, even a buddy of mine that I work out with, and if you're watching, you know who you are. He gets under a fucking incline press, his sternum suddenly turns into a fucking trampoline. Boom! Moving a fuck ton of weight, don't get me wrong. But to the best of my knowledge, the sternum should not be used for such activities, you know. So have good form, you know. The sternum's not a trampoline. Stay in control. Bring it down to the chest. Brief pause. Big push. You know, and working on little things like that over the last year it's been a mixed bag for me, because like I said, my weight on these exercises maybe hasn't gone up as much as they would in previous years, but my form is so astronomically better. And that's also going to completely reduce your injury chance, which in my opinion is the most important thing you can do. Because if you're injured, you're not training. So if you have to have 5 less pounds on the bar, and that's what keeps you doing chest exercises for the next 3 months instead of getting a shoulder injury and having to stop, it's going to be more valuable in the long run. So lock your form in. Don't worry about the weight. It doesn't matter. Your form is infinitely more important. All right. Last one here. I think I yapped long enough. It's definitely been enough minutes. Let's knock this out. Last time under this bar for my inclines. Then I'm going to try and do 225 for some flat presses here. Oh, one more. That was good. All right, I'm gonna get these bars moved. I'm gonna get set up for a flat press next here, 225s, 5 to 8. All right, got my bar all set up for my flat bench. Getting some weight on here. My chest is plenty warm. I absolutely don't need a warm up here. But just for my own sake, my own safety, not safety exactly, make me feel comfortable. I like to get under 1 set before my working weight, just because it's a different exercise. I want to make sure it's feeling good, especially since I'm going to get heavy for me. You know, for me, 225 is pretty damn intense for 5 to 8 set. So I don't like to jump right up to that. So I'll do one here, and I'll get it going from there. Same form cues, keeping in mind here, honestly, feet are in the floor, grips even. From here, get a nice unrack, cores engaged. Bars down to the chest, brief pause, big push. And it's feeling good, but if you saw that, my rack's a little high. So I'm gonna move it down one more. I'm gonna get my working weight going here. See, that's exactly why. Get under some weight. Do a quote-unquote warm-up set, even if you're already warm. Because if I jumped up to 225 right there, rack wouldn't have been in the right spot. Reasons like that is exactly why I did that. Rather be safe than sorry. It all comes down to injury prevention. And who knows, if I was under 225 there, maybe I wouldn't have gotten over that hook. Would have been in a bad spot. So lesson learned there. Hopefully you can take something away from that too. All right, 225s on the bar. Working set here. I'd like 5 to 8. Usually when I start with my flat benching, I go to 225. And well, I've already used a lot of chest, a lot of shoulders, a lot of triceps on that incline press. So, you know, a little less energy than normal for my flat bench here. So, you know, I'm comfortable trying one set here, seeing how it moves. And based on how that moves, if I need to drop the weight down, I'll drop the weight down. Again, I'm gonna beat it into you. Safety's first. If I need to take 10 pounds off this bar to feel safer under it, I'm gonna do that. I don't care if it makes me look weaker. It doesn't matter. Staying injury-free, making real progress injury-free is significantly more important. So, all right, here we go. 225. Gonna try and get at least 5. We'll see how it goes. Yep, not getting 5 there without a spotter. I'm gonna take off the 45s, put on 40. I'm gonna do one more set here. That was tough. Like I said, kind of called that. Usually do 225 when it's my first movement of the day, and it wasn't. So it's gonna be harder because I've already used some of that energy up. But that's all right. All right, my rest is almost up here. It's gonna be my last barbell press for today. And then I'll get into some shoulder work, do a fly for the chest in a bit, some triceps, and we'll be good. Like I said, you know, I was at 225, as you saw. Could have moved a little better. I got 4, I wanted 5. So I peeled off 5 pounds each side. I'll try one more set here. And I should get at least 5. Here we go. That unracked felt weird. Let me redo that. Here we go. Got my 5. It's fucking hard. Time to move on. All right. After that flat bench, I'm gonna get some incline, or I'm gonna get some lateral raises going next year. You know, for a lot of people, the logical next exercise would be their chest fly, which is perfectly valid to do. But I'm doing my lateral raises next because I want to prioritize them a bit in my training right now. And just as a general rule, the earlier you do something in your workout, the more prioritized it's going to be because you're gonna have more energy. And right now, I'd like to prioritize doing my lateral raises, building up those shoulders a bit more, rather than getting my chest isolation with some flies. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Little tip for my lateral raises is if you have the ability to, do them in front of a mirror. Because you don't know how many people I've seen doing lateral raises not looking into a mirror, and one hand goes a lot higher than the other, just creating imbalances there. So look in the mirror, try and keep those hands nice and even. And I'm also looking to get 5 to 8 here. We'll see how they move. There we go. 5 to 8 there. That first set felt pretty good. I think it's time to get this pump cover off. I'm feeling fucking hot. Take my mic off for a second. Get it back onto my my tank top here. Give me a moment. Not gonna complain about that. All right, getting my mic back on here. All right, pumped up a bit. You know, I know I've taken videos from this angle before, and the lighting's kind of weird, so I'm not sure how it's gonna look, to be honest, but in the mirror, I will tell you, I like what I see, which isn't something you'll hear me say very often. You know, I think you definitely build a lot of confidence by working out, building a body you're happy with. You know, for a lot of lifters, there comes days where even though everybody else is gonna say you're looking pretty good, you might look in the mirror, might be pumped up one day looking in and just not feeling it. And, you know, all I can say about that is comparison is the thief of joy. And these days, especially with social media, you know, even videos like the one I'm filming right now, right? Oftentimes, if you're going on YouTube to find a video to watch, you know, lifting related content, odds are you're going to be more inclined to watch the person who's bigger than you. And if you're always watching people bigger than you, it won't take long before you start feeling small. So just think about your progress. Look at your progress pictures. Look back at a picture of yourself from a year ago. Look at you now. You'll see the progress you made. Just try not to compare yourself to others. Oftentimes, they've just been training longer than you. They're taking more drugs than you. Or maybe they just have better genetics than you. And at the end of the day, there's nothing for you to do about any of those things other than just keep the head down, keep training hard, keep doing what you can. All right, feeling ready for my second set here. Took my 2 to 3 minutes. Ready to get another one going. First set, got my 7. They were hard, you know? So I'm happy with my weights, happy with my form. I'm gonna keep everything the same here. I don't know yet if I'm gonna do 2 sets or 3. Depending on how this one goes, it will help me decide what I'm doing next here. So here we go. All right, nearly identical to my first set. That felt pretty good. Nothing to complain about. I feel like I got one more in me here, so I'm gonna do one more. Then I'm gonna move on to my chest flies. For those flies, I'm gonna do dumbbell variation. But you know, a lot of people, when they do their flies, they start here, they come down to their hands or in line with their chest. I personally enjoy a lot more range of motion with a lot less weight on mine. So you'll see me do them in a bit here, but keep the weight low, proud chest. I really take those dumbbells as deep as I'm comfortable going, really stretch out the upper chest. So I'll do those next and probably look different than how you usually see them. All right, time for my last lateral raise here. My first 2 sets I'm very happy with. They've looked exactly how I want them to look. So I'm not trying to change a thing. Same form, probably gonna get 7 again here, we'll see. There we go. 7 down, lateral raises are finished. All right, here goes. It's gonna be my first chest fly. And as I was saying earlier, the emphasis here is really, really on the stretch to this position. So I'm only using 35s. And on my lateral raises, if you notice, I was moving 30s. So that should kind of put into perspective how light these are compared to maybe a normal chest fly. I ended up taking more rest than I wanted to because I got tagged in a TikTok video that I was passionate about, to say the least. So probably ended up taking more like 4 minutes rest between my last lateral raise and this set here, but it is what it is. It's not gonna hurt my set. So let's get started. I just want you guys really to pay attention how much stretch I get here, because that's the whole emphasis of this movement is the range of motion. Yeah, that stretch feels crazy. That's all I got. Oh, the stretch on that is ridiculous. That was a great set for me. If you haven't tried a fly variation like this before, you totally should. In that down position there, the stretch from the top of the shoulder all the way down through the chest is just unreal. And I love that. Give it a try. All right, I'm only gonna do 2 sets here because I've already got a bunch of volume from my pressing for my chest. So I don't need a ridiculous number of sets here to get some little extra isolation volume in here. So knock out 1 more set of these super deep range of motion chest flies. Then after this, we're gonna move on to triceps, and that's the last bit of work we gotta do for today. Generally, by the time I get to the triceps, you know, anytime you're doing elbow extension, the triceps are working. So they worked a lot on both of my pressing movements I already did earlier. So they've gotten work, so I don't need to spend 20, 30 minutes doing tricep isolations. So generally, I'm just gonna do 1 movement, 2 to 3 sets, and that's all I need for the triceps. You can do more, probably won't hurt, but I have found that that approach is what works for me best. So here we go. Last movement for the chest today. We'll move on, finish up those triceps next. Again, just like that first set, really focusing on my range of motion here, getting as much stretch as I can. First one was 6 reps. Those felt pretty good. Let's see if I can do it again here. I'm gonna try 1 more. I might get down and knock it back up. That's all right. Set couldn't have been much harder. I will count that as a win. I'm gonna get these dumbbells put away. Then we'll move on, get those triceps going. All right, so what I'm doing now, triceps over here. Rope attachment. We're gonna do some overhead tricep extensions. You know, the classic is to leave the rope here and do your extensions this way, which is fine. But generally, if you can get either a greater range of motion or get a stretch on an exercise, that usually makes it superior. And if you take this, move it all the way down like we're gonna do, and instead do the same extensions, but up this way, there's more of a stretch on the triceps, which theoretically makes the movement more beneficial. And ever since I tried doing it that way, I personally like doing it that way. So I'm gonna keep doing it. So when you move this cable down, things to keep in mind is that when you get this movement started, Jesus, it's going slow. When you get this movement started, one of the more awkward parts is getting the movement started, because you have to get this weight that's going to be down here and heavy up overhead. So if you put the cable too far down, oh my God, this is taking forever. Generally, it becomes harder. So my recommendation is get it just about at hip or just below hip height. That way you don't have to start all the way at the floor and bring it up and around. Get my weight set here. So 2 handles, pinkies are by the balls. You're gonna start this way, take a step back. You're gonna kind of twist, and as you twist, you're gonna bring this weight up overhead, something like this. The more you do it, the more used to it you're gonna get. You're gonna get nice and close to those cables, so all the tension is just perfectly vertical. You don't wanna feel like you're pushing forward. Nice and upright. Elbows are high. Big extension up overhead, something like this. Here's 3. Looking to get 5 to 8 here. That's all I got. Ending this movement is maybe even more awkward than starting it. I just kind of squat down till the plate touches the bottom there. Here's my first set. Doing just 1 more. Then we'll get a couple poses in, check on the pump, and then we're out of here. All right. I'm gonna give myself another 30 seconds or so of rest here. I'm gonna knock out 1 more overhead tricep extension, and we're all wrapped up. Honestly, this is my first time doing a video like this. Probably said that towards the beginning, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it. If there's 5 people that can watch this video, and learn one thing, learn something positive out of it, or even just have a nice, video they enjoy watching while they're eating dinner or on their lunch break, that's a win for me. The whole reason I started social media as a whole was just because I wanted to start spreading content that I like. I'm obsessed with the gym. So if I could, motivate, inspire 1, 2, 3 people to get in the gym more often, have better workouts, try a new movement, that's a fucking win for me. So if you made it this far in this video, if you're watching this, I really appreciate you. This video is pretty fucking long and you made it this far, so hope you're liking what you're seeing. And like I said earlier, leave a comment, let me know, what do you like, what don't you like? Because I'm making these videos for you guys. If there's something specific you want to see, if there's a question you have about something I've done so far, let me know. I actually genuinely want to know. I will do my best to reply to every comment on this video, because I just want to make content that you guys like, that you guys can get something of value out of. 1 more set. Let's do this. 5 to 8 reps here, and the workout, the push day, is done. And there we go. The workout is over. I'm gonna come back to the mirror over here, get a couple poses in, check out the pump, and then we're done, boys. All right, here we are in front of the mirror. I'm gonna try and play around with the brightness a little bit because there's skylights above me and really bright overhead lights, so sometimes it gets a little too much. But let's check out this push pump. Oh, there we go. There we fucking go. Peep the snake tattoo, by the way. Just got that a couple weeks ago. I'm real fucking happy with it. It's double buy. Don't give a fuck if it's not my push day. Lighting's a bit chopped, but it is what it is. All right. That's all I got for you guys today. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. And I'll catch you guys next time for the pull day, for the leg day. Thank you so much. See you guys next time.